Welcome back to my channel. It's JVceo and I'm here with a banger. It's getting difficult, man. With coronavirus, next year will be challenging, in my belief. Rising property prices, although I said it might crash next year, but still, people are probably losing their jobs. It's getting difficult. And, you know, now more than ever, a lot of people are trying to get into the property market. I get a lot of emails, I get a lot of Snapchat messages, Instagram messages. Bro, how do I raise more money? How do I save? Whether it's first-time buyers or next-time buyers, maybe you've already got a couple of properties, but now you've run out of cash, which is a real thing in property. Because maybe you've just gone for a standard buy-to-let and you're not, refinancing and pulling your money out. How do you raise more money if you're only earning £25,000 a year? Watch this video. And whilst you're here, make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. Alright? Because it helps with the YouTube algorithm and it helps to share the video out to other people that may benefit from it. So let's start by the first thing, right? Number one, if you want to save for your mortgage, as a first-time buyer, as a next-time buyer, cut everything except the necessary bills, right? And I'll give you one example and then we'll move on to the next point. When I started buying properties, right? This was earlier on in uni, in my first year of uni. My mates were going to Amsterdam. And I chose not to go to Amsterdam. Like back then, there were several holidays, even Barfest. Some of you might know Barfest, the party that the uni link up rave and stuff. And I chose not to go to it. Not because I couldn't afford it. Of course I could at that point, a couple £100. But, you know, every penny counted at that particular point. Because I was literally just saving everything, trying to put it into the property market. Every penny counted. And that's how I had done it, you know. So that's what I would say to you. Cut everything except your necessary bills, because if I'm honest with you, a lot of you that are watching this video probably let yourself get drawn out, and you know, when you get drawn out, you end up spending either a few hundreds or a few thousands on a monthly basis that you shouldn't have spent in the first place. And on to point number two, create new streams of income specifically for raising cash. What do I mean by that? Every business or some businesses that I have run in the past, I specifically use that to raise cash for properties. An example being, when I sold puppies, I used that money to buy land in Nigeria. And then again, when I had the commercial cleaning company, I never paid myself from the commercial cleaning company. Obviously with my accountant and whatnot, we worked things out and I was able to move a lot of that, the funds that came in through that company into the property market. So again, literally every single thing, like I mean, other than my normal expenses, paying the people that work for me and so on and so forth, I didn't take a penny. I didn't take a penny from it, you know? Because at that point, I was working. I had other things going, so I didn't need the money from that company. I built that company specifically to help me fund property in the earlier part of my property journey. So that's what I'd say to you. Literally create a business. It could be a fully fledged business. It could be a side hustle, but create something. Bro, I'll give you an example. Let's talk numbers, right? So moving forward, we'll try and incorporate numbers into these various points. But let's say now you create a new business and a new business gives you a profit of even £500 a month. Now, over a whole year, that's an extra £6,000 to add to your mortgage. And bear in mind, let's clarify something, right? How much you're going to need to raise is dependent on, obviously, the property prices, but what part of the country you're located in. So now, with that £6,000, in combination with, let's say, your work income, your earned income, right? Somewhere up north, that's more than enough for you to get a property, especially putting down 10% deposit. Maybe you're getting a property for £150,000. 10% of that is 15,000. You know, so again, if you save up 6,000 and then you've got, let's say, 9,000 from your work, that's 15,000. You're sorted. But now, if you're down in London, you got to get a bit more creative. So let's move on to the next point. This is probably mostly for investors, but also applies to people that just want to purchase a residential home, right? But look for joint ventures. Joint ventures in the sense that, you know, let's say now you've saved up 30,000, but maybe the deal you're looking for, essentially speaking, you probably need to put up 60,000 for. Look at a partner, someone else that is, you know, shares the same desires, the same goals as yourself. And go into a partnership, create a limited company in the form of a SPV, a special purpose vehicle, and do a joint venture. That way, expedites the process. You make money, they make money, both parties are happy. great. You know, that's another way of, quote unquote, I mean, it's not necessarily saving money, but you're getting to where you want to get to faster. Joint ventures are great. Now, on the other hand, if you're looking to, you know, do a residential mortgage, bro, look at potentially putting your mum on it. You know, if your mum's still fairly young and earns a decent salary, look at putting your mum on it. If you got a partner, look at putting your partner on it. You know, let the egos go. But obviously, before you put partners on it and so on and so forth, make sure that, you know, your ship is straight. Because the last thing you want to do is purchase a property with someone that is that in a situation where that person isn't long term, and then it ends up causing you more of a problem in future. So bear that in mind. And now on to the next point. Come up with a number, right? Don't just say I'm saving for a property. Put the numbers down, right? Understand what your outgoings are, understand what your incomings are, and set a number down. Once you plot that number, create a standing order from your debit account into a totally separate account that is designated for that purchase. It could be your savings account, ideally somewhere that you don't have much access to. But create a standing order so that this money automatically comes out every single month. Because you can't trust yourself to actually put the money aside yourself, because you pick and choose when you put it aside. You say, you know what, this month I'm a little tight. No. Set up a standing order and have things that are measurable. So don't just say you're saving for a mortgage. If you say, right, I need to save £30,000 in 2 years for a mortgage, your brain switches on. Print that out, paste it on your wall, somewhere that you could see every morning when you wake up. And like I said, set up a standing order to support that number. The next point definitely links up with the previous point, right? Make sure you disable all access to your funds, right? Because it's, look, we've all been there where we save X amount, but because we have constant access to it, bro, the savings just dwindle, and then you're in a vicious cycle, and you never actually get to buy this property, simply because you have bad money habits. To help you with that bad money habits, you need to disable access to your savings, and you could do that in a number of ways. Number one, you could do the ISA stuff, and I can't go into much details about this because I don't use ISA myself. I'm not very knowledgeable about ISA. Moving on from that, you could do things like, you know, it could be family. Again, depending on your circumstances and whether you have trusted people around you, you can move the funds over to other people. Like, let's say family, like your sister or your brother. Bro, regardless, if I ask for this money, do not give it to me. But again, it's down to your relationship with those people. And you could even take it a step further. You could do things like purchasing a watch, right? A watch, especially certain Rolexes, are great for storing money. I don't necessarily believe it's an investment, but they're great for storing money. And we would leave that topic for another video as to whether watches are investments or not. But they're great at storing money and you don't have access to it. So an example being this watch now, I paid $11,100 for it. And if I needed the money tomorrow, I can't get it because, you know, it's right there. But I don't want to sell it, you know, so it's right there. So it helps me store that money. But let's say now I urgently needed to do an investment, then of course I could always pull it out and sell it and get the investment done. But let's say now I had no money around me and someone called me saying, bro, I need to borrow X amount, or maybe I want to go out partying and I want to spend more than I have. I can't because it's all in the watch. Just an example, right? So that's the benefit of it. But cut access to the money. Create dedicated accounts that you don't have access to. ISAs, for example, there's some ISAs where you don't have access to until the ISA matures and stuff like that. So just do a bit of research into that and find out other ways that you could get rid of your cash without having access to it, but still being in control of your finances, if that makes any sense. Now, this is one that most people don't want to do, right? But it's simple. Downgrade your accommodation. If you live in a rented house, there are a few things that you can do. You could sublet a room there. You know, let's say if you have a 2-bedroom or a 3-bedroom and you live alone, for example, you could sublet a room, or you could just straight up downgrade, move into your parents' house. If you can't sublet a room, let's say you have a garage, rent out the garage. Or maybe you don't even have the garage. The garage is at your mum's or your dad's or your parents and it's empty. Rent out the garage. In some areas, you know, you could get probably up to £200-300 a month for your garage. Now imagine you're able to, let's say now, imagine you were paying £700 for your little flat, right? And now you've moved back home, potentially paying your parents, let's say £200 a month to live in that house. I mean, some parents would ask for money, some wouldn't. But let's say your parents are asking for £200 a month. So now you're saving £500. That's an extra £6,000 every single year. If you've done that for 18 months, if you've done that for 24 months, even if you were buying in London, an extra £12,000 into your saving pot or your mortgage pot is huge. So definitely look at downgrading your accommodation. There's nothing shameful about that. All it means that is you don't get no girls coming around for a little while. But moving on from that, just a quick one I have to touch upon is look into government grants as well for like first-time buyers and stuff like that. Take advantage of it. Again, it doesn't necessarily help you save, but it expedites the process and helps you get there sooner. I'm not a big fan of it because I just feel like, you know, I just don't like taking things from the government because I feel like when they want it back, it's not very convenient for me. But anyways, that's that point. And now moving on to the next point. This is very important, right? Pay off any high interest sort of loans that you have or like debt accounts and stuff like that. Because if you have these in place, firstly, you're going to struggle to get a mortgage. But secondly, you're going to struggle even more to actually save money. Because whilst you think you're saving money, you're paying off all these, you're paying out all these funds, and you know, eventually you'll have a psychological effect and you'd feel like you're not getting anywhere and then you fall off the whole game. So try and, before you even get started, try and pay off all these high interest account, retail cards, store cards, all that sort of stuff. Pay that off and then start saving. There's no point saying, right, I've saved £5,000 towards my mortgage, but hold on, you're actually in debt to store cards and retail cards and loans for maybe another £5,000. No, pay that off and then start afresh. And now on to the final point. Final point. Just be as frugal as possible, man. Frugal. When I say frugal, I mean frugal. Let's say if you have to use vouchers for your shopping, like your weekly shopping, do that. There's a couple of other things you can do as well that's quite smart, but a lot of people don't know about that. You can contact the tax office. If you actually work, if you're a payee, you can contact the tax office and ask if you have a tax refund. You know, sometimes, you know, you don't have to wait till the end of the financial year to get the letter to tell you whether you have a refund or not. You can ask if you have a tax refund, but also, I learned this a few years back, you can actually claim some money back in terms of like money for washing your clothes to actually get to work and stuff like that. And I think like when you work it out, it adds up to like £60 extra, I think a year, something like that. Anyways, I think when I claimed it, I got back like £240. And I know you're thinking, but hold on, £240 in comparison to getting a mortgage is nothing. But that goes onto something else. That goes onto one of your monthly bills, which, you know, reduces the financial burden on yourself, you know. But these are the ways that you could expedite the process. You could save money for your first mortgage, or even for a next time buyer if you're already an investor. I hope you enjoy these sorts of videos. I think the property videos, you guys love that a lot, so I'll try and do a few more of those. But anyways, thank you for watching, and like always, make sure you like, comment and subscribe.